Welcome to Make Your Mark podcast, where guests share their experiences, insights, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And I will be your host, Kay Suthar. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Make Your Mark podcast. Now, oh my goodness, right? I have a super special guest for you today. And why is she super special? Because the things that she has gone through, the ups and downs from coming to corporate to then building her own business, oh my goodness, and the fact that she is making big moves in the education sector. So please welcome Louise to the stage. Louise, I am super excited to have you here. Now, I've got tons of questions to ask you. Right,
Okay.
The questions. But before we get into the nitty-gritty and what you do and how you really help people, I'd love for you to share with everyone here today a little bit about your background. Like, what were some of the ups and downs? Because we all know, right, building a business doesn't happen overnight.
No, and definitely not this year. It's been a bit of a challenge this year. Had a really poorly dad, so spent a lot of time looking after him as well. However, great things came out of it as well, which we'll discuss as we go on today. It's been a great journey, and one that I have to say, even the lows have brought highs. So here we are.
There we go. Now, I know that you didn't just go in and jump into business. Right.
No.
This was just something that kind of happened, right? And you went with it, right? You started planning, you started strategizing. So before you even kind of decided to build a business, what was your background like before then? What were you doing? And how did you even get into the education sector?
So I've always been slightly entrepreneurial, and I've always had a big interest in training people and people improving themselves through learning ever since I was at school, believe it or not. So I progressed through all different pieces early in my career. I actually went off to university to train to become a secondary school teacher. And then I flitted off backpacking around the world, was fortunate then to learn a couple of things. One was the methods at the Steiner School in Sydney, which is a completely different way of learning, very holistic. And the second thing was that I learned how to sell. So I worked in a very famous shoe shop in Bondi Beach, and I learned to listen to people and really understand what they were looking for to increase my sales, because I was on a base salary, but then I wanted to earn more. So the more shoes I sold or products, obviously the more I earn. So those things are really instrumental. I came back to the UK. Again, I was very fortunate. I landed a job at Thames Television, which then became Fremantle Media, and I worked in the HR and Learning and Development department. But that was very exciting, sort of early 20s again, doing exciting things. So to come back from travelling into that role, it was great. I then, if I fast forward a few years, I met my the dad of my children, so my husband. Then at the time we met. Moved down to the south coast, had children, and it was when I was pregnant with my first child, realised that the local authority were doing free courses for people to reskill or uptrain, or retrain, sorry. So I took a course, a level 3 course in childcare whilst pregnant, and I actually set about setting up my own childminding business. And started it when my son was about 6 months old, because I didn't want to go back and work in the corporate setting at the time that I was in. I wanted to actually be a mum for a little while. So I set it up. I used the knowledge that I'd picked up, in other roles, bits and pieces, marketed it, and I was full within 3 weeks. So absolutely full. So I used to trot off to school with my baby, and then all of these children, drop them off at school, pick them up in the afternoon, sometimes have children in the day. And then life moved on, and I fell pregnant again with my second child. My husband was in the armed forces and still is. And I decided then, well, basically, I put on some weight when I was pregnant, went along to a Slimming World group, lost weight, and they were looking for a franchisee. So I actually took the franchise. I took a franchise on, and I grew one of the biggest franchises in my county. And then what happened was that I was asked if I wanted to become effectively an area operations manager for the area that I was in, which I did, and managed lots of other franchisees. So obviously in that, you're learning business, you're learning marketing, you're learning how to manage people, how to deal with people, how to market in specific ways, and a very clear 7-prong attack of marketing. And what I would call old school, very limited social media at the time. Not really, it wasn't really my bag, social media back then. So learned in that old-fashioned way, and did that for quite a number of years. And then on the side of a football pitch one day, one of the mums happened to say to me, she was talking about her place of work, which was the local further education college, and said, "Haven't you got all of these skills and background?" She'd heard about my training, she'd heard about some of the roles that I'd done, and I said yes. And she said, "Well, we have a job available at the college if it's ever interested in you," because at the time I was doing a lot of weekend work, a lot of evening work, as well as day work. And so I applied. I got the job as a part-time at the time, and the rest is history. I inherited at that role, I inherited 2 courses that had roughly about 10 people on each. And I just set to work because I really understood that those courses were individual businesses in their own right, amongst the faculty, which was a business within the bigger business of the college. So I brought all of that information together, and within a couple of years, I managed to grow it to actually 3 courses, and all of them had roughly about 30 people on every year.
Wow.
And then they picked up my skill set with regards to business, because I was training in education and childcare. And it went from there. I then went to teach business. I then went to become a department manager. And eventually my final role in further education colleges, I was director of teaching, learning, digital and quality. And my largest role really was that I had 6,000 students. There was roughly about 340 staff. It was busy, but it was excellent. And however, in the background, I've always had this entrepreneurial streak. So I like writing, I like singing, I put some of those skill sets together in lockdown because I love maths. I love Married at First Sight as well. I popped up and trained to be.
It's an awesome show.
Yeah, I love it. So I certainly love the old episodes. So I trained to be a wedding celebrant in lockdown.
Oh, wow.
And that was outside of franchise running, outside of all of that. That was my first dipping my toe into running my own full business. So I set it up, started to run with it, and the year after lockdown, I was fully booked. But again, it was all weekend work. It was all maybe Thursday, Fridays, if you're lucky, because most people want to get married between a Thursday and a Saturday. So that was really interesting, and I did bits and pieces of that in the background, realised that actually wasn't quite what I wanted to do. So pivoted, and this year, over the last year, a couple of things have happened. So my dad was very poorly. My dad was diagnosed with he's terminal, but he was treatable cancer. So I wanted to support him. And to keep my mind focused whilst I was supporting him, I wrote a book. And then I have always known that there was a missing link between connecting people like yourselves or other people with fantastic skill sets, fantastic products, fantastic services, to people who want to learn, who want to improve, or who need people to come in and train their staff. And I decided that I was going to do something about that this year. So rather than it being local and very localised or very word of mouth, I decided that I was going to try and take something nationally and then internationally. And I just started boiling that away very gently, and we're now in January and it is now taking off, which I'm absolutely delighted about.
Yes, and we did actually speak about this off camera, right? And so we'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but I just wanted to take a couple of steps back because you've just given up like a load of information right now, right? And so I want to take a couple of steps back. And I know, like, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a daughter, right? You're a business owner. Like, you wear so many different hats. And the fact that you mentioned that you basically built a nursery, right? You basically built a nursery, right? A business whilst you were pregnant, had little ones and running around after them as well. Like, how did you manage to build a business, look after other kids, yourself, right? Talking to parents, like, all that, like, wasn't it a lot of stuff to kind of manage during that time of your life?
Yeah, it probably was looking back. However, I've always been busy, so I'm probably on the spectrum. Okay, absolutely. I like being busy. I then also probably crash and burn for a day or two, and then I'm back up to full speed again. And I would imagine that a lot of people are like that. Certainly, a lot of people I've worked with have been like that. I call it my golden thread. If I feel that there is a golden thread that links things together and I can see that it's going to run and grow, then I can just take it and make it fly. So, for example, if we take that situation back then, I was in my mid-20s, miles away from home, living away because of my husband's work. So I could see the thread of the course that was free but gave me the same qualification that was effective to 3 A levels, and it made me a qualified practitioner. It then led me into being able to set up that business, which meant I could then be at home with my son, and it meant I could earn an income. And it also meant, and I just have this natural, I don't know if it's a need, but I'm very fulfilled by helping other people. So I could really see the fact that I could grow a business, be at home with my son, and then I would feel that compassionate and empathy piece. However, also earn an income from it. And I still speak to parents today. My son's 18 now, so some of these children are now in their mid-20s. I still keep in touch. Some people say to me, because some of them were single mums with 3 or 4 children, desperately trying to make ends meet themselves. And they were like, had you not told us that I could get this? Because I would go away and I'd find out about free things that they could get as well. So not only was I providing the immediate service of caring after their children, but I was also letting them know that there were these other things available to them, which when they were flat out with work themselves and their children, they probably wouldn't have naturally found it as quick. And I've taken that through my whole career as well. I've always tried to find things that will help other people, to signpost them, to say, look, I can't do this for you, but Kay can, for example, so please go and speak to Kay. Or I've heard you're really tight on money at the moment, or I've heard you would really like to expand your business. Are you aware that all of these pots of funding are available? And every single time I run any of my funding workshops, and people can get them now on Evergreen because the demand was ridiculous, everybody contacts me and says, I cannot believe how much money is available out there. And it is ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because I guess when people don't know what they don't know, they don't realize that there is money actually available. Have you seen that there's been a change or a reduce of funding after the pandemic, or has it been steady and the same?
I personally think that it is the same. It's just being put in different buckets. Yeah. And people will say, oh, well, this isn't being funded anymore. However, if you just look past that or round the corner, or you just keep digging, there's another pocket of money, another bucket of money. So you've got to be prepared sometimes to go out and take a look. But to give you an idea, I updated my funding brochure in September, and the volume of money ranged from 4,000 being given away all the way up to 36 million pounds. Wow. So some of the money and some of the contracts that I saw out there were actually more than that. They were up in the 3 figures of the millions. So it depends what you do. It depends where you're based. It depends on what what your product service business is. Depends how long your business has been running. It depends whether you've also gone ahead and set up a CIC, but it's not essential at all in any shape or form. But to give you an idea, I'll just use one lady in my mastermind. Since working with me late summer, she has regularly brought in funding of about £90,000 every 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, to deliver her product or service out into a particular county, and it's just growing. And then I've got other customers who have come to me and said, I'm a startup and I don't know what to do and I really want to do this. And then I've pointed them to exactly where particular funding is available within their county or with their local county council, or sometimes with other businesses. So large businesses across our country particularly will gift money because it probably helps their tax bill, it helps their the evidence to their board of directors that they're giving back. The sums are huge. And then there's also pots of money in trusts as well that get left. So some people, it could be like somebody like myself, they may not have, except they may not have children, or maybe they don't want to leave their inheritance to their kids or something like that. And they'll set up a trust, a charitable trust, which will donate money every year. And they can be in particular areas. So there's certain ones in particular areas of the country, and every year they will allow people to apply for up to £25,000 every year for whatever. And there's no stipulation apart from they just focus in particular areas of the country, but there's lots of those around. It's just knowing that they're out there.
Wow. Okay. So just for the sake of our audience, this funding kind of pots that you work with, is it people all over the world? Is it just UK based, US? Like, who can have access to these pots of money?
So I can normally find it anywhere.
Okay.
Maybe I'm like a money detector, or I don't know. So if I know what they're looking for and how they're looking for it and exactly what their business does, I can often go away and either signpost them correctly or actually find the funding and then say to them, look, it's here for you to apply for it. Very rarely now do I apply for it for people unless it is a very bespoke project, because I was just inundated. And my whole ethos really, and my passion, is to teach people how to do it for themselves without having to pay out time and time and time again. So it doesn't matter whether that is learning how to market, learning how to streamline their products and services, learning how to pitch and position it correctly, learning how to find funding, learning how to make sure their products and services flow from beginning to end of the person's journey, the customer's journey, regardless of whatever it is. Because if you haven't got a beginning and an end for that customer on their journey, and then to find them the next phase of their journey to keep them with you, then your business will just die a death eventually, or you will burn out because you're continually trying to refill the bucket rather than keeping them in your bucket and topping it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I know probably a lot of the listeners here, people that are either watching this episode or listening to it, will be thinking, okay, so how do you know when you're ready to actually apply for funding? Because there probably are a lot of stipulations, a lot of hurdles you've got to jump through before you even get access to that, right? So how do you know when you're ready? When should you start looking into this?
I would start looking at the very beginning, when you're building your business out, at the very beginning. Even if it's just an idea, brainchild, I would go away and see if there is funding available for you to just get it off the ground. And quite often there is. So quite often large banks will do free funding, or they'll do accelerator programs where they'll basically even gift you free websites, they'll gift you free business bank accounts, they'll gift you all sorts of things. And then there's other funding that comes where it's effectively a loan and you pay it back. Sometimes it's grant given, and there's the only stipulation is you evidence how you spent it. One of my clients this year got offered £350,000 of match funding, and that was for a business to basically deliver therapeutic play to children and families to stop too many children going into the care system through engagement through the parent and the child in a particular area of this country. So that's a lot of money, and they match fund it. So whatever they can match fund up to that point is what they get in return. So there is all sorts, but I'd always say look at the very beginning. And on that, I would also like to sort of remind everybody and encourage them, nearly everything you do is some form of learning and development.
Right.
So even if you are, let's say you're a mechanic and you've got an apprentice, or you've got somebody with you learning. If you can evidence that you're delivering that learning and development, you have the ability as well to draw down other funding. So that could be that you're supporting men back into work. It could be that you're supporting women back into work. It could be that you are teaching people without a specific level of qualification or reskilling, and there'll be funding around for that as well. So, for example, any courses you deliver, you can often seek out some form of funding, or let's say if I take your podcasting courses, you could actually offer to deliver that skill set to perhaps a school senior leadership team or to a corporate business, but they don't know how to do that and they don't want to continually pay somebody out to do it. They want to bring it in-house. Well, actually, then you can scale that training through those corporate businesses as well. So, and people always think when they say corporate business that it is like 100,000 employees plus, and that's not the case.
Right.
So corporate businesses are your small businesses as well, your SMEs. Don't forget, SMEs normally average around 250 employees or less. So, you know, there's a lot of scope there out there. And that's really what I want to do. I want to use those golden threads, and it is what I do, to pull everybody together. One of my lovely clients this year, talking about the beginning to end journey on customer clients, they've actually opened up their own, instead of just delivering courses or just delivering workshops, they've now got a fully accredited program, and they've actually opened up effectively their own full mini academy of training in wellbeing and different products and services around that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again, this is huge, right? And I've got so many more questions now. We could be on here forever, Louise. So regards to this funding, okay, you're saying people should start looking at it in the beginning when they're starting. Don't leave it too late. You could be using basically the funding that's out there to build a business, right? Which is awesome. Now, you mentioned also that one of your clients got a £350,000 funding.
Match funding offer, yeah.
Right. So does your business then have to be a certain size to be able to get funding at that level?
No, they were just in startup, so they had they had everything that they wanted to do. They were experienced in their sector. However, they put it forward and said, I've seen this need in our area. I've seen that we need to do this. We need to really attack this and do something about it. And the county council said, you're absolutely right. And she said, well, I've got this product and this service that I want to deliver. And they said, great. She said, I need help with funding. They said, went away, thought about it, and they said, we are prepared to offer it you as match funding. So match funding means that you input the same amount to get the same amount back.
Okay.
So if she had personally put in 350,000, she'd have got the full 350. Well, that's then 700,000. If she stepped forward and said, well, I've got 10,000, they'd matched with 10. And what you have to remember there, because some people think, oh, well, I've only got 2,000 or I've only got 3,000. However, what that immediately does is double your money.
Yeah.
So because your money is immediately doubled from 1 to 2 or 3 to 6 or 5 to 10 or, you know, so on, what you can do with that is so much more.
Right.
And money, although it sounds like it's doubling, so 2 to 4, 5 to 10, the actual output and input of the work that goes on with that is probably 4 times.
Okay.
So it takes, if you think about it, once you've created your marketing, you've done it once, and it should just then roll for a long time.
Okay.
If you have had to upskill somebody, you need to pay that once, and then hopefully they stay with you, and then you can keep repeating that over and over again. So really, that match funded money just expedites itself. So then your income comes in, and then you can apply for more match funding. You can step forward and say, I use that, and look what I've done, and look at the impact we've had, whether that's community, nationally, internationally, whatever it may be. And then more often than not, I'd say 9 times out of 10, they step forward and say, let's do it again. Because the people that gift money or grant money or match fund money, they have a target set to be able to gift or grant that money away. And if they haven't done that, quite often it just gets lost back into the system. So they actually really want that money to go to a good home. They don't want to just give it away willy-nilly. However, if they can see that it's gone to a good home and really gone for use, then you'll more than likely be offered more again.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is awesome stuff. Now, I want to kind of move forward and speak about this new things, the things that's going on at the moment that you got going on, and the fact that it's going to be coming out soon. I know we've got to keep tight-lipped about certain things, but tell us a little bit more about what that looks like and what we have to come.
Okay, so I've just launched, and it has hit a number of bestseller lists. So I've just launched my book. I know, exciting. Scale Your Business in the education, training and childcare sectors. So that's all forms of education and training that we were just speaking about, including private training, coaches, mentors, all of that piece. That is all imparting training, knowledge, skills. So this book is, I wrote it, I voice dictated it pretty much, the whole first draft when I was taking my dad to and from his treatment. And it just gave me the focus to, when I was sitting waiting, when I was, journeying around and stuff, it just gave me something to focus on rather than worrying about him and bits and pieces. And then I went in and proofed it. So this book has got case studies in as well. It's got case studies of people that I have worked with as well to demonstrate all different types of businesses and sectors, to give people ideas of what they can do, how they can do it, how they can grow it. There's information in there directing people towards potential funding and from a quality perspective and all of that kind of piece to really hopefully encourage everybody around the world to think about what they could do and what they could provide and who would benefit from their knowledge and skills 100%. So this has been this is a passion project, and I'm delighted that it's gone out and it kept me focused as well this year.
It looks brilliant. I'm just signed copy.
Absolutely, I will send you one. Yeah, absolutely. And then on the side of that, so like I was saying earlier, for a long time I've realised, people need those golden threads. People struggle to find things. I've been with learning and development teams before, and they said, "Oh, we need a speaker on brushing your hair," say, and everybody goes, "Well, where do you find a speaker on that?" And because people have to go out and hunt somebody or try and ask recommendations or try and find it. So I've created a directory for people to list their products, their services, their trainings. It could be workshops, it could be books, it could be journals, it could be absolutely anything that they provide, as long as it imparts some form of knowledge or information, or people can book and go and learn a skill. So that could be absolutely anything. And it's really important for me to drive that, really, because I've hugely benefited from, I don't know if you have before, but from people's skill sets, say like crystal healing, or it could be from learning how to manage finances better, maybe when I was first getting a mortgage, those sorts of things, or understanding pensions, or it could be getting your colours done. So when, people actually feel better once they've had their colours done, that kind of a thing. It could be that you are a nail technician and you actually want to teach people how to do nails, but you are competing against the huge local colleges or training salons, and actually you want to get going, so you want to advertise yourself somewhere. So it's all of those. It's for absolutely anybody. Internationally, people can search by postcode, people can search by country, town, location, skill set, and hopefully people will connect to those products and services and courses. So maybe we might even go and choose to go off and do, I don't know, a cake cookery course that may be listed on there, all the way down to, you could have the learning and development team at, let's say, HSB Bank, and they want somebody to come in and speak on women's menopause, or they want somebody to come in and speak on to their men with regards to how to manage their wives when they go through menopause, or it could be, they might step forward and say, well, we've had a complaint. We're not doing very well with our ED&I, and we need to actually go, we need support on this. Where do we start? We need to actually hold our hands up and say, we are this huge company, or it could be a small company, and we're failing and we need somebody, or we need some help. So that's my idea, that people can go in. There could be people looking for tutors. It could be people looking for literally anything to do with those sectors. And I hope to be able to connect a lot of golden threads.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? It just blows my mind, right? With all the kind of ups and downs you've gone through this year, that you've managed to create all of this. Like, it's insane. You've written a book, you've built a business, right? You've got this directory, like you've got your mastermind going on. Like, it's been non-stop. Like, I don't know where you get your energy from, or, where it comes from or whatever, but we all need some of that.
Thank you. I think it's because I'm so passionate about this.
Really?
I've been a single parent in between. So when I was a single parent, I actually had to upskill to be able to progress forward. So I had to find those skills and courses. I had to go along to people that I worked with who were far longer down their career and say to them, what did you do? How did you do it? I want a piece of that pie. And by their kindness and generosity, by sharing with me, enabled me to progress. And I think a lot of us in our lives at some point have had that experience from somebody. So whether that is, and if we all think about it, we all learn regularly from people, we just don't realise it. So whether that is to way back when we were like 10 years old, somebody taught us how to make our mum a cup of tea, all the way through to recently somebody taught me how to change the ownership of my car online rather than filling in the paperwork and sending it off to the DVLA. I didn't know you could do that. So, yeah, everybody has knowledge and skills to share, and everybody has something that they can learn from each other. And I really, really, that's my passion. And I think that's where my energy comes from, because I love my mastermindees. I love my membership. So my membership is growing now. I'm just driving that forward. I absolutely love the education and training directory, which is the directory that I've launched, and I love my book. And if I can help, whether that is a 6-month-old child sleep better because somebody has been away and found a sleep expert through the directory, or whether it's because I can help a family manage their teenagers better because they've gone away and took some advice on dealing with teenagers. We're a blended family now of 5 children, and there's 3 teenagers. I need a bit of help with that. I'm going to be looking for somebody. Not really, but you get the gist. Or whether it is somebody in their 60s needing some support because they're dealing with a parent with dementia. And actually they want to go and learn off of other people who have been through similar situations. I just have this passion that we can improve so many people's lives if we actually just connect, and we have a single central source to connect them up. And that's what I'm doing.
Oh, I love that. That is awesome. Like, the way you just kind of explained all of that, I was like, yes, this is epic, right? Now, I know we got to go, right? We got to come to an end at some point. I can speak to you forever about all of this, but a bird told me that you have a little gift for everyone here. So tell us about the little gift that you have.
I do, yeah, absolutely. So I would absolutely love to offer everybody that is listening either a month's pass onto the platinum level of the education and training directory, or a month's pass into my membership. So that will be on a landing page on here. So yeah, absolutely, that'll be there for them.
Fantastic. Louise, before we go, do you have any last words that you want to tell the audience about?
I would love to just remind everybody that you all have a skill or knowledge that you can impart to earn money from, absolutely. And every single sector, more than likely, will need your service at some point. So don't forget that. And please, to everybody, I'm a massive believer in the equity of access to lifelong learning. So please try and learn something every day, because I can promise you that it will enhance your life.
Oh, I love that. Louise, thank you so much for coming on. It was amazing to have you here. You got so much knowledge. You have so many golden nuggets dropped in such a short amount of time. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Make Your Mark podcast at www.makeyourmarkpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.